Party strategy, the party plan. Is it the duty of the ED and Amit Shah?
ফাইল নিয়ে বেরোচ্ছেন, আমরা দেখতে পাচ্ছি একজন
আর বাংলার উপর যে হামলা করেছে, এই হামলা প্রত্যুত্তর জনগণ দেবে, আমি বিশ্বাস করি। BJP is a killer's party. They are the great killer of democracy. An IT office, IPAC office. How can they do it like this? If I read their party, their IT office, will it be all right? Please remember, वन-साइडेड कुछ नहीं हो सकता है। हाँ, हम अभी तक भी चुप है, इतना सहन कर रहा है, इतना जलने का बाद भी, इतना लोगों का खून का बाद में भी, इतना लोगों का जान जाने का बाद भी मैं आशा करती हूं कि विचार मिलेगा। विचार के लिए हम वेट कर रहे हैं, इंतजार कर रहे हैं, लेकिन आप तो सब सीमा उल्लंघन कर दिया। हमारा आईटी ऑफिस में आके आप सब लैपटॉप से सब निकाल के लिया, हमारा डेटा, हमारा एसआईआर का डेटा, हमारा पार्टी का पॉलिसी का डेटा, हमारा कैंडिडेट का लिस्ट, हमारा बूथ प्रेसिडेंट का लिस्ट, हमारा आने वाला स्ट्रेटेजी आप प्रतीक का घर में भी जाके किया है, आप हमारा आईपैक ऑफिस में आके भी किया है। इट इज नॉट दैट दे आर प्राइवेटली ऑपरेटिंग, दे आर वेरी मच ऑथोराइज्ड बाय द ऑल इंडिया तृणमूल कांग्रेस। बीजेपी का माफी का हम बेनामी नहीं करते हैं।
I'm reminded of 3rd of February 2019 when Mamata Banerjee had reached the residence of Rajiv Kumar, then Police Commissioner of Kolkata. Why? Because CBI had reached the residence of Rajiv Kumar. February 2019 was months before the 2019 Lok Sabha election. Similarly, I'm also reminded of 23rd of February 2021 when Mamata Banerjee had reached Abhishek Banerjee's residence. Minutes before, CBI had reached Abhishek's residence to examine Ruchira, his wife, in connection with a probe. Mamata Banerjee left Abhishek's house and CBI had reached. Again, February 2021 was months ahead of 2021 assembly election, and this is January 2026, which is months ahead of 2026 assembly election. Almost following the same script, the central agency had reached to a spot which Trinamool Congress says is nothing but a political move to corner them politically ahead of elections, and thus, like in the past, Mamata Banerjee has reached this very spot too in the year 2026. In the year 2026, Enforcement Directorate had reached IPAC, the political consultant who are associated with Trinamool Congress in the state of West Bengal. While they do associate with other political parties outside the state of West Bengal, but here in 2021 and even now, they are associated with the ruling party. Months ahead of assembly election, Enforcement Directorate officials had raided multiple locations, including the IPAC office, the official IPAC office, from where all the people operate in connection with political strategies. That's where I'm standing. This office is in Salt Lake. That apart, Enforcement Directorate officials had also reached the residence of Pratik Jain, the co-founder and director of IPAC. That house is in Loudon Street in the heart of Kolkata. Interestingly, these raids began early in the day, around 6 or 7 in the morning. As the word of mouth had come out, soon the unexpected happened. Mamata Banerjee, without any warning, without any information, had straight away stormed into the house of Pratik Jain. And she, thereafter, in 20 minutes' time, had left the house of Pratik Jain holding, literally holding, onto a green folder which had a lot of documents inside. Now, we cannot independently confirm what kind of documents were there inside, but then she claimed that she was holding on to her party's internal documents, hard disk, mobile phone of Pratik, and she also alleged that this is nothing but a ploy of the central agency at the behest of the central government, that is Union Home Minister Amit Shah and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, that they are trying to do the political job for BJP in doing the scrutiny of Trinamool Congress and dig out information that can politically hamper them. That is Trinamool Congress. She also went on record alleging that Enforcement Directorate was possibly trying to snoop on the potential candidates of Trinamool Congress for the upcoming 2026 Assembly election. Literally, it's a sign and it's a scene that no one will forget. Every election has some or other image that stays back in public memory. Possibly in 2026, this image would be one of the many images that people would find difficult forgetting. One day is too long in politics, yet I say this would remain as one significant memory in the run-up to Bengal election 2026. Just not that. After leaving Pratik Jain's house, Mamata Banerjee straight away came down to the office of IPAC. Again, it's been several hours now that she is there inside the office. Why? Because she is fearful and apprehensive that her party's internal documents pertaining to the political strategy they would be adopting for 2026 assembly elections have either been smuggled out by Enforcement Directorate or they have laid their hands on them. So we also saw, like in the case of Pratik Jain's residence, here too, the CM security officials had left the office holding on to a couple of folders. But interestingly, Mamata Banerjee only reached here about 4 and 5 hours after Enforcement Directorate officials had come. So yes, whether in between something has happened or nothing has happened, we cannot really know. Confirm. But Mamata Banerjee says that this is nothing but a straight political intrusion by Enforcement Directorate at the behest of BJP to in a way scuttle the political plan of Trinamool Congress, and so that BJP can take advantage of their strategies. Every political party would have their own strategies, from election campaign to slogans to other strategies which are very, very intrinsic to a political party, maybe integral to a political party, and also they are supposed to be confidential to a political party. And every political party would want to keep them as confidential. They don't want to disclose the cards. They would want to keep the cards close to the chest. However, here is a situation where Trinamool Congress Supremo, West Bengal Chief Minister herself is alleging that look, Enforcement Directorate has come down here with the intention to raid the office of IPAC and loot the details of Trinamool Congress. But then the fun fact is, many would say that Enforcement Directorate came to raid IPAC. Mamata Banerjee almost raided the raid of Enforcement Directorate, because she too had walked out with files and folders in middle of the raid when Enforcement Directorate officials were still there inside Pratik Jain's house and are still inside IPAC's office. So yes, it's safe to say that if ED has raided IPAC, then Mamata Banerjee has raided ED's raid, which is currently underway. How things would roll on here after, only time would say. But many were saying that politics had been going on very dull in Bengal, very unusual of the state. It is always high voltage. Maybe, no matter how much leaders have shouted, the poll bugle today, as far as political action is concerned, the bugle for the action or bugle to the action has been blown loud and clear. If this is a dare, political dare, Mamata Banerjee has given out a message that she would be taking it head on. And like what happened in 2021, like what happened in 2019, it's almost following the same script. Right ahead of election, a raid happens by the central agency. Mind it, what we are trying to figure out from sources that this particular raid is pertaining to a case in which, concerning a coal smuggle, alleged coal smuggle, and probe which had been on for very long. Complaint in that case had been registered almost 3 years back. So what had been the central agency doing for the past 3 years? Why did they wait for 2026, and that 2 months before assembly election, to finally come here and raid IPAC? Mind it, in 2021, IPAC had operated from this very office. Pratik Jain was still the founder and director of IPAC. You also had Prashant Kishore then, but Prashant Kishore has now moved out of IPAC and has also made a political foray in in Bihar, beg your pardon. But as far as this state is concerned, in Kolkata, at this very address, IPAC's office had been operational since 2021 and even before. So if there had been a case pertaining to a probe concerning alleged coal smuggling or something to do with coal, and if Pratik Jain is allegedly involved to it, then why did the central agency wait to go ahead with the probe and bring their probe at the corridors of the IPAC's office or at the corridors of Pratik Jain's office? The kind of bandobast that you see here, it's all because the Chief Minister is still inside. I would just ask my video journalist Orko to come this side, and just to give you a quick show, that is the Chief Minister's car. That is the Chief Minister's car, and this particular corridor would take you inside the lobby from the basement, and thereafter the lift would take you to the 11th floor where the IPAC's office is. So here the car has now been parked, and that is the very car where all the files and folders have now been packed. Now what's there, no one can say, but what I have learned from my sources, that it was already too late for anyone to pick up something from the floor. Now what I've also learned from somebody who had been part of the entire scene, as Mamata Banerjee walked in, the CM security people walked in, there were Enforcement Directorate officials, so they were not really welcoming them with the thali of aarti like what you've seen in movies. So yes, there was a confrontation, but the Chief Minister was behind couple of CM security officials. As they tried going inside, the ED officials had said, "Who are you?" To which they had said, "We are CM security people." The second question they were asked, "What is the purpose of you coming here?" So apparently one of them, and if my sources are to be believed, apparently one of them said, "We are here to collect what belongs to us." And the Chief Minister had then made the entry. "Ami amar ekhankar jinish nite eschi, amader jinish nite eschi." That's what she said in Bengali. When loosely translated in English, it means that I have come here to collect, pick up my stuff and walk away. So yes, even though after 4 hours, 5 hours she had come, there were a couple of folders and files they have taken out. But I did specifically ask the Chief Minister as what next? Will there be a forensic study of the machines, of the hard drives, of the computers which are there at IPAC's office? Will there be a parallel investigation by Kolkata police or by the state administration? To which she said yes, an FIR would be registered. And I clearly remember, even in the middle of all the shouts and all, I clearly remember she said, yes, an FIR would be registered on the conduct of Enforcement Directorate, and there would be a forensic study of files if it all have been removed. But then she is saying that this is nothing but a raid into TMC's political strategy ahead of assembly election, and she also fears that if they have managed to lay their hands on the potential candidates of Trinamool Congress, then like what you have seen in 2021, right ahead of election, several Trinamool Congress leaders' houses were raided. Similarly, like this time, this time too, the potential candidates might face the heat and threat of BJP in the hands of the agency. How things unfold hereafter, we have to wait and watch. But interestingly, as I say, this raid of the central agency comes months ahead of Bengal election 2026, and no one can deny. If you have a thermometer in your hand and if you just put it in the heart of Kolkata today, the political temperature would break the thermometer because the heat has soared up. We will be keeping you updated as far as details of the raid is concerned, what comes out from the raid, what would be the statement from a central agency. But Bengal is all about surprises. No one can ever anticipate a scene of this kind, and possibly in history of India's political landscape, you haven't really seen a scene like this, where a central agency goes to somebody's house to raid, and the Chief Minister of that very state literally barges into that raid, registering a protest, registering her dissent, registering a challenge. That if you are doing what you're doing, I would be doing what I'm meant to do. not give you a free pass. And that's exactly what Mamata Banerjee has done today. A challenge thrown open to the central agency, to BJP, as she says, the countdown has begun for politics and Bengal election 2021 and ek inchi jaiga ami chharbo na without a fight, as how she says, I will not be sparing a single inch of political space without a fight. So yes, the entire bandobast, the media, and over here, the arrangements clearly indicate one question. Those who were doubting as Bengal elections are going dull, let's ask, how's the Josh? Along with video journalist Orko Shah, this is Tamal Shah for News Issue, NTT.
Thank you.